Hello, and I am here with
Elizabeth Endy.
And today I'm doing a segment about baseball for the non-baseball fan, that is. So, you've been to Wrigley Field before, right?
I have.
And is that the only stadium you've been to? What other stadiums have you been to? And what team did you grow up cheering for as a little girl?
I'm from Minnesota, so I grew up cheering for the Twins. And since I'm from Minnesota, I've been to the Twins Stadium, which is Target Field, a few times. They also used to play in the Metrodome, so I've been there. And then I've been to Wrigley, and I think those are all the baseball stadiums that I've been to.
So, what would get you to go to a game? You said you went last week. Would it be the food, the atmosphere, the weather, friends? What gets you out to a ballpark?
I think it's definitely a combination of all of those. I think going to a baseball game with some friends is really fun, especially when it's the Cubs at Wrigley. I think nice weather definitely will get me a lot more excited about going to a game. Ballpark food, you gotta love it, I guess. And then if the tickets are cheap, I'd say that definitely would make me more inclined to go to a game too.
So, you've never been to Guaranteed Rate Field, or as they like to call it, and you've never been there before?
No.
What would get you to go to a White Sox game? I know on StubHub they have like $6 tickets. What would get you down to the South Side for a game?
I think if some of my friends were gonna go and it was a nice day, I also don't know where it is, so it would have to be easy to get to. But if it was nice out, a lot of my friends were going, and it wouldn't be too hard to get to, I'd definitely consider going to a game.
Yeah, for people who don't know, from Radio DePaul, our Lincoln Park campus, you can get to U.S. Cellular Field, or now it's Guaranteed Rate Field. Once Comiskey, they change the name often, but when you get on at Fullerton, the Red Line, you can take that down to 35th and Sox Street, which is 2 after Roosevelt and 1 after Chinatown. So it's not too difficult to get there, but I agree it is a little farther from our campus in Lincoln Park to get there than it is to Wrigley. So you said you went to Wrigley Field last week, right?
Yeah, I was at the game on Tuesday.
So they played the Phillies, and how was your experience that night?
It was awesome. It was actually kind of cold and rainy, but we wore a lot of layers, so we were pretty prepared. And I think that despite the weather, it was still so much fun. I think the atmosphere at Wrigley is just awesome, and it's really cool to be around.
Yes, definitely. So I'm going to ask you one last question that might spur into a few more small things about it. When you watch a baseball game, or when it comes on when you're in the room or when you walk by it, do you engage in it, or do you just kind of look at it, see what happens, and go on? Or what happens when a game comes on and you're in the room?
Probably depends on who's playing and also if it's the World Series or if it's just a normal baseball game. But if it's two teams I've heard of and I'm sitting around at a restaurant or something, I definitely would pay a little bit of attention to it. If it's the Twins or the Cubs, I'll probably pay more attention. And if it's the World Series, I'd definitely watch a game on TV.
Yeah, definitely. It seemed like everyone in the city of Chicago was watching the World Series last year, and it was crazy around campus and up in Wrigleyville. So I want to thank you,
Elizabeth Endy,
for coming on today. And as always, it is my pleasure. I am John Maher. Now I'm here with
Sara Van Hecke.
And we are continuing our interview today. So you've been to Wrigley Field, right?
I have, yes.
And have you been in 2017?
No, I have not.
What would get you out to a baseball game? Would it be friends, family, free tickets, food, weather, just to be part of a crowd?
I think all of those things. Definitely a free ticket would be nice. I don't know if I would go out of my way to pay for a ticket, but if like all my friends were going or, my family were like, you were going to a Cubs game, I would definitely pay for the ticket to go to spend time with them. And also the nice weather is always good.
Yeah,
when
definitely.
It's good weather.
I've been at a game this year where it's been 35 degrees and that was freezing. Went 18 innings. I only made it 15.
Oh, no.
It was 12:15 in the morning and I left because I didn't want to feel sick. But then I went last week and it was really warm. It was in the low 80s and it was comfortable. It felt like summer.
Yeah.
So have you ever been to Guaranteed Rate Field, once known as U.S. Cellular Field?
Yes, I have. I was actually there a few weeks ago.
What has been your experience going to Guaranteed Rate Field?
Well, a few weeks ago, I went with residential education because I am an RA in Monroe Hall. So we had tickets to go all together to see the game. And so that was also a free ticket that got me out there.
That works for me.
But yeah, we were early, so I got a free T-shirt. And that really made me happy. It was a really cool shirt. So yeah, it was a beautiful day as well. So it was nice to spend time with my RA friends and some residents. So yeah.
That's always best. So what has been your experience when you've gone to Wrigley?
I have had a good experience at Wrigley. It's really historic. I really like that about it. I remember the first time I saw Wrigley Field when I was walking around, I was like, whoa, like this is so cool. Just, I think it's so cool how it just like goes right up to the street, and I know how old it is. Well, not exactly how old it is, but I know that it's very historic. It's a very historic place. So I've had a good experience, definitely a good atmosphere. Very cool to be there and like the crowd.
So you said you've been to Wrigley and Guaranteed Rate Field. Have you been to any other baseball stadiums in MLB?
Not that I can remember, no.
We will get you out to some someday. Someday when you do travel.
Yes.
So if you're walking around or in a bar or wherever and a game is on, do you engage or do you just kind of ignore it? Or what happens when a game comes on when you're in the room?
I wouldn't say I ignore it. I guess it depends on who I'm with. If I'm alone, I guess I would look at it, but I don't really like invest myself what the score is. I'm more just watching it. The patterns and the colors are kind of nice. Like it's a good visual, but I wouldn't say that I'm like super invested in keeping track and like checking up on the score, especially if I'm like with people in a bar or a restaurant. I really just want to be spending time with those people.
What team did you grow up cheering for?
I grew up cheering for the Sox.
All right, you're a Sox fan. And my last question to you would be, what was 2005 like for you since you're a White Sox fan?
It was a good year. I remember that I went to bed early and I didn't see them win, but I know my older sister did, and my dad always talks about how proud he is of her that she stayed up on his lap watching the White Sox win the World Series, and I'm a little jealous of that, but it was an exciting time for my dad and my family, although I was pretty young and did go to bed early because I love to sleep, but it was a cool experience, definitely.
Well, hopefully they can win it again someday.
I would hope so.
So thank you for coming on. I'm John Maher. She's
Sara Van Hecke.
And this has been Radio DePaul Sports, the student voice of your DePaul Blue Demons.